Hey folks, welcome back. So today we're going to chat about emergency funds and how you can set one up in YNAB. There's a few different strategies, so let's jump in. So what's an emergency fund? Basically, it's an amount of money you want to set aside for the unforeseen. Big car repairs, a medical emergency, house repairs. It's all those things that we can't really budget for on a regular basis, but we may need the money for in the future. So here's where things get interesting. There's a few different approaches. Some experienced YNABers argue that a traditional emergency fund isn't necessary because YNAB ages your money and has robust category systems already for creating multiple buffers. Others maintain that a dedicated emergency fund provides psychological security and helps people sleep better at night. Let's jump into that approach. So the first strategy is what I like to call the steady builder approach. And basically, this works great for folks who have a regular income and can commit to consistent monthly savings. Create a category group called an emergency fund, set a target for that fund or category, and then budget that money first before any of your discretionary spending. We're going to jump into how this can be done in YNAB right now. All right, so here we are in YNAB. I've created this fake kind of thing to show you what to do. Basically, I've put in some dollar amounts into my checking and savings account. And then as you can see on the budget, there's nothing called an emergency fund right now. So I'm going to create a category group called an emergency fund, and you can drag it anywhere, but I'm going to keep it at the top. And within that, I create a new category called emergency fund, and we're going to create a target. So for this, I'm going to create a custom target of say $10,000, and I want to set it aside by next January. Save the target, and it tells me how much I need every month. So I already have $150 in savings, so I can go ahead and assign that over. And now basically you go through and you fund the rest of your account. We're pretending this is already funded because it's a fresh start and I had enough money here. So let's just say we put the 5,000 in the vacation, right? These are all things we've already done. Now we're going to pretend like we get a payroll deposit. So from my paycheck, and I got paid on the 13th, and say it was $4,500. So once that gets put in, we go back to the budget, and now I can fund, right, the rest of this emergency fund for the month. Awesome. Now that whole amount, I want to create a transfer, say the day after I got paid, of the remaining amount, and I want to move it over Sorry, I'm doing some math because I already had 150 bucks. So now I want to move that amount over to my savings. And now you can see that the dollars in the savings and the dollar in the emergency fund match. So the second strategy is the percentage method. This is great for folks with variable incomes, or maybe you don't have a lot of expendable funds to put in your emergency fund. You're still going to create a group called an emergency fund. You're going to think about a percentage for that fund, right, from each paycheck. And then you're going to, again, budget that money first before any of your discretionary spending. Similarly, with this first method or strategy, you're going to move the funds so that they sit in your emergency fund account separately. So in YNAB, how that's done is I'm going to go ahead. I've already created this emergency fund line. I'm going to do a paycheck. Say I get $2,500, on the 10th of January, or 2,100 actually. Let's make it a little lower. The first thing I'm going to do is think about, like, hey, how much do I get paid, say, bi-weekly? I got paid $2,100. I'm going to think about a percentage to set aside. Maybe 10% sounds like a good amount for now. So 10% of 2,100 is $210. So that's how much I want to set aside bi-weekly. I think I can create a bi-weekly custom in YNAB. Let's try. Oh, it only has months and years, so never mind. I'm going to decide that I want to set aside $210 per month. And then let me actually do some quick math and figure out how much total is needed in the year. So there's 26 paychecks if I get paid bi-weekly, and basically this is 210 times 26, which let me pull out a calculator real quick. I think it's around 5,000 something dollars. 1 second. Yeah, 5,460 bucks. So that's actually the amount I'm going to create a different target and do yearly and set the date for the end of December. And basically that's how much I want to set aside. Now, the numbers are a little off. It's not that 420, let's say, for this month, mainly because I think January has one extra paycheck, and also I'm filming this later in the month, so YNAB has some funky things there. But I had the money in it because I said from the percentage of the paycheck, and so I'm just going to go ahead and fund all of these things just so that it's a little clean. And yeah, that's about it. Basically, I can fund that money in my emergency fund and then do the same thing again, create a line item, move the money to savings, and then actually do the transfer right in my real bank account. So the amount matches. The last strategy is what I like to call the savings snowball. Basically, if you're starting from zero and need to build momentum, you could try this. Start by saving a small amount every week. Once you hit a certain goal, celebrate that and then increase your amounts. Budget this money first, as always, before you do your discretionary spending. Of course, your bills come first, things like that. But this is a great way to kind of kickstart your savings if you're not already in the habit of doing so. So how I would do this in YNAB, as you can see, there's zero in savings. I have that emergency fund line item. I'm going to pretend again that, this is the start of the month and I've already like budgeted some of my money out. I'm not putting anything in like dining out, etc. This is just like the base funds that I had. Now I have a paycheck that came in, right? And for this, I'm going to say I want $25 every week as my target. And then in the notes, what I'm actually going to do is kind of set aside some goals just so that it's a little easier for me to remember what I'm doing. So I'm going to save 25 bucks till I hit $500. And then I'm going to do a little celebration, maybe DoorDash something for $45. And then after that, I'm going to save 50 bucks every week till I hit 1,000. That can be any number. You might want to do it monthly. You might want to do it bi-weekly, whatever works for you. Once you get your paycheck, you would go into your budget and you could fund your emergency fund. Then you do what you do with the rest of your money the way you normally do. And that's about it. Again, you want to make sure that you do your transfer over to your actual savings account. Move the money in your bank, and then the money shouldn't line up. Small, consistent actions can lead to big results. So what are my tips for success here? Basically, you want to make sure that you keep your emergency fund in a separate high-yield savings account. That way it can grow with some interest while you're saving. The next thing you want to do is name your category something motivating. I don't know, financial freedom, something fun. Use YNAB goals features to track your progress so that you know how you're consistently saving. Don't ever touch this money for non-emergencies, right? It's really for the big stuff. And then replenish the fund again if you use it. Life happens, emergencies happen, but you want to make sure that you put your money back into this account if you ever touch it. Remember, it's a marathon and that's okay. At the end of the day, you want to pick a strategy that best fits your situation and stick with it. As always, thanks for joining. And if you can, I would appreciate if you hit that like button, subscribe, get notified when I post new content. And as always, I'll see you on the next episode of Noodlenomics. Bye.